The Texas Constitution of 1869 assigned counties the responsibility of taking care of the state's poor and indigent residents. Initially, paupers and indigents could receive assistance from the county in the form of food and monetary provisions. But they had to take a pauper's oath, swearing to the Commissioner's Court their lack of money and property. When the updated Constitution of 1876 included a provision for the establishment of county poorhouses and farms, many county governments chose to do so, as it was a more cost-effective way to provide for those in need. These farms provided a place where they could live and work while producing their own food. The poor farms were not luxurious by any means, and provided for only the barest essentials. Only the most desperate populated such facilities. Everyone who came or were sent to poor farms, unless disabled, were expected to work the land to earn their keep and support the institution. It was not unusual to see convicts at such facilities, because they were often more able-bodied than their elderly and infirm counterparts who also lived there. They were sheltered in separate, guarded barracks to protect the other residents. Convicts were often allowed to work off their sentences at the farm. Less commonly, some poor farms also took in families, particularly mothers with small children. Poor farms are relatively common in Texas, with nearly 26% of Texas counties operating one. Typically, the county would purchase about 200 to 400 acres of land just a few miles away from the county seat. The county would contract for the construction of basic buildings, including a residence for the superintendent, barracks for the poor, a dining hall, and outbuildings such as pest houses for paupers with contagious diseases. For their protection, the elderly and infirm were also housed separately from the other residents. The superintendent ran all the operations of the farm, including the hiring of help, organizing the planting of crops, and keeping records of all activities on the farm. His wife was expected to wash, cook, and sew for the farm's tenants. Travis County established its poor farm in 1879. Former County Commissioner Richard Septimus Young served as its first superintendent. The farm was initially located 7 miles north of Austin, near the intersection of today's Spicewood Springs and Mopac. Over the years, as the population grew in Travis County and the city of Austin, it was necessary to move the farm. Around 1908, it was relocated near present-day Tarrytown, near the intersection of 24th and Windsor Streets. A poor farm ledger, now preserved at the Austin History Center, kept a record of the farm's residents. Entries include the name, date of entry into the farm, age, sex, birthplace, color, date of discharge, and reason for discharge. According to the ledger, the poor farm's oldest resident was 104 years old. The youngest generation consisted of babies who were born on the farm. Maladies of the infirm included blindness, epilepsy, rheumatism, and dropsy. While the majority of the farm's residents were white, African Americans also populated the facility. The onset of the Great Depression and the subsequent New Deal of the 1930s brought a myriad of federal welfare and relief laws which contributed to the decline of the poor farm throughout Texas. Travis County, rapidly growing and evolving from a rural county to an urban one, discontinued its poor farm in 1936, and portions of the land were auctioned off in 1939. While none of the poor farm structures remain today, the institution leaves a legacy. Its history provides valuable insight into how a modern public welfare system evolved to support Travis County's indigent and impoverished residents.